Hello, everyone. My name is Adrian. Welcome to the journey of discovery of self, of other, and of realms beyond space and time. So happy you're here with me today. Growth can be painful. Spiritual ascension can be very uncomfortable. While you're on your way to beautiful, more fulfilling things, a more aligned life, there are changes that need to occur. There are adjustments, tweaks, fine-tunings. As humans, we are creatures of habit, and sometimes change is very challenging. I know it certainly can be for me. I'm autistic, and that's a particularly challenging thing for me, but I know it's hard for many people in a lot of ways. It can be difficult to let go of things at times. Even when you know that certain things in your life aren't working, it can still feel so hard to let go because you've become so used to the way that things are. And then there's the influence of people around you, things around you, the way society is as a whole, that can make you feel like you have to do things in a certain way. And that can kind of trap you because you could feel like, well, that's my only option. And that can limit you from accepting what's really meant for you, and also from just allowing yourself to go after other options. And there's something about the future that can be so scary. It can be exciting, but also terrifying. It tends to make a lot of people really uneasy when they can't see what's ahead, when you don't know what's going to come out of doing certain things, taking certain action steps, and that can stop you from taking any action at all. Sometimes we have to accept that in order to evolve in the way that we want to, we're going to have to just start moving, even when we feel like we don't know where we're going, we don't know where this is leading, we don't know if this is going to go well or if this is going to go poorly. Sometimes you just have to take a chance. And sometimes you can feel a lot of pressure because you can feel maybe expectations from other people around you who believe that you should take a certain route. But in your heart, you feel like that's not the way to go. And that, again, can be terrifying and paralyzing because you feel like I'm meant to go this way, but everybody is wanting me to go the other way. And then you can question yourself because you're like, well, everybody's saying that I should really do this, I should stick to this, and I should pursue this type of thing, but I don't feel like I want to do that. And then you can feel so much resistance about it because you can really have the desire to do something, to go in a certain direction, to follow your dreams, and then you can have this feeling of shame or feel guilt and feel like, well, if I decide to do this, then other people are going to be upset with me. But of course, at some point, you have to realize that other people aren't the ones living your life. You're the one living your life. And so you're the one who's in control. You get to make the decisions. And fear is a wild thing that gets in your mind. It makes you feel small. But fear is an illusion. It's just something that you're playing out in your mind. It doesn't hold any ultimate truth. The thing is, we can make a lot of stories about the future and how scary it can be and how many things can go wrong. But it's like, why would you want to do that when instead you could imagine all the things that could go right? It's a misuse of the imagination. So when you find yourself becoming increasingly fearful, anxious, you got to remind yourself that you can flip it around. You can change your thinking. You can choose to see a different future, a more positive future, a more aligned future, something that feels good for you. And the thing is, we always want to feel like we can have some sort of certainty. We're always looking for signs, and it's like, and even when we're getting signs, we're like, still not sure. And it's like, at some point, it's like, how many signs do you need? How many signs do you need? The feeling you have within you should be enough to begin with. But then you'll ask for signs from source, from the universe, and you'll get them. And then you'll still be like, but I don't know. Could you be more specific? And at some point, you just have to start taking steps forward. Start taking steps in the direction of what is exciting you. And then as you do that, more insight will come in. So that's a mistake that a lot of people make, including me. Yeah, I'm very uncomfortable with uncertainty. I'll admit it. Like I said, growth can be uncomfortable, and you could choose to keep focusing on the discomfort and making that make you feel small, or you can recognize that you are bigger than all of this fear, all these limiting beliefs. You're more than that, and you got to stop selling yourself short and just move forward and trust yourself. It's okay to trust yourself. And everything's a practice. So the more that you practice trusting yourself, following your intuition, the better you become at it, the less resistance you have. So just trust yourself. Choose to believe that you're going to be all right, that you're never really alone, and there's always support when you ask for it. And when you choose to look for the good in your life, you'll see more good. So every day when you wake up, set the intention to see all the miracles and all the magical things happening around you, all the things that are working out. Choose to see those things, and you just might find that you start seeing more and more good things. You've probably heard where you put your focus is where you put your energy. Your attention is your most valuable resource, so use it wisely. When you put your focus on the things that aren't working out for you, the things that are negative, we'll say, then that's what you're going to get more of. It's like, even if you don't fully believe that's the case, and that the things that you think and the emotion that you put into it doesn't matter, just try it out and see what happens. And don't give up too quick, because when you're really conscious of yourself and what you're thinking, you can see just how much you're being pulled into negativity or old patterns, old programs of thinking. And so when you recognize just how much you've been focused on things that stress you out or make you feel any sort of negativity, and then you look at the things that are happening in your life that are stressing you out even more and making you feel even worse, when you see that and you actually acknowledge just how much you've been looping certain thoughts, and then you look at your life, it'll make a lot more sense. You'll see that, maybe I am not helping myself by continuing to focus on these things. And then so when you start thinking more positively, and then you see more positive things happening in your life, you'll say, oh, right, what I am focused on does have an impact on the things that are happening in my life. And the more you grow and evolve on this spiritual path, you might just find that you're recognizing that you are manifesting things even quicker. Like, things are speeding up, and where you couldn't really see before how the things that you were thinking and feeling were connected to the things that were manifesting in your life, when your ability to manifest becomes greater, you start seeing it, and then you realize just how important it is to stay on top of your mind and what you're thinking. Because, and it's not really what we're thinking, it's what we're feeling. But the thoughts have a lot to do with it. Because if you start thinking about something that is unpleasant to you, that stresses you out, then you start feeling stress, right? So the way that we want to shift is we want to shift our focus away, change our thoughts. And, I understand that it doesn't always feel like the easiest thing to do, right? And see, that's another thing that we as people gotta stop perpetuating in our lives, is that the idea that things are always hard. Because when you're always claiming that this is hard, this is difficult, it's much easier said than done, and you're constantly saying those types of things, then that's going to be your experience. So maybe also give your chance to believe that things get to be easier now. You can say, this has been a difficult thing for me in the past. However, I'm open to things becoming easier for me. And just start playing with that idea. Allowing things to be easier, right? And then also believing in yourself more, believing in your ability to make the changes that are necessary, and then not beating yourself up when you slip up and you realize that your focus is not in the direction that you want it to be. Just acknowledge that. Okay, even just being able to acknowledge when you've been stuck in some sort of negative thought loop or something, or you have a negative thought, being able to catch that more is a good thing. And you can congratulate yourself for that. You can say, like, oh good, I caught myself thinking this way. And when you recognize that, then you can change it. You don't have to beat yourself up for slipping backwards into it. You can just decide that you're going to change the thought, because it's going to happen. Thoughts come and go, and it just happens. But what matters is what you do about it from that point. Okay, are you going to continue down that thought spiral, or are you going to decide to see it in a different way? Are you going to shift your perspective, change the thought? So allow things to be easier. Allow yourself to trust yourself. Focus on the good. Focus on what you're grateful for. Focus on the things that make you happy. Get yourself in a state of mind that is joyous, happy, peaceful, calm, relaxed, excited. Get yourself in those higher states of mind. So if you're having trouble, because sometimes we can have trouble when we want to manifest certain things in our life and we feel like we can't have it. So when we think about positive things, sometimes if you've still got this feeling of believing like you can't have it, or you start thinking about the opposite because you brought up the positive thought, you think of the opposite. When that happens, it's okay, and you don't have to beat yourself up for this, all right? And what you can do is, you can challenge the thought, and you can say, no, no, like, who put this thought in my mind? Why are you saying this to me in my head right now? Because when these negative thoughts come in, it's not really the truth of you, so you can acknowledge that. No, I don't choose to believe that. That did not originate with me. That came from somewhere else. And I'm choosing now to let go of that. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. And also, if you're finding it very challenging to get away from that, you can just entirely change your focus. And again, just do something that makes you feel good. Do something that raises your vibration. Have fun. So do something that just puts you in a good mood. And then maybe come back after you've elevated your emotions, then maybe come back to focusing your intention on what you're wanting to create, those things that you're wanting to manifest in your life. Having the intention to create new experiences once you're in an elevated state of mind. Because it's not just the thoughts. And that's why, when I was younger, I used to hate the idea of affirmations and all these things. And I would get so irritated. I'm like, this is nonsense. This doesn't work. It's because I didn't believe any of those things about myself. And I was so unhappy that it's you can't just sort of bypass in that way. If you're really at a place where you really just don't feel good, it's you have to deal with that, right? But when you've worked through that, the things that actually do make affirmations and things like this a good thing is that it does help you keep your focus on the positive, right? But you have to know where you're at with that for you to understand exactly how you need to approach that. Sometimes we got to work up to those things. Sometimes you got to start with shifting from maybe super negative to just neutral and work yourself up to it, right? So you got to start challenging those beliefs that are opposite to the things that you're trying to affirm to yourself. So if you're in a place where you just really feel terrible about yourself, you got to address that first. My intention with this video, though, is probably reaching people who are kind of past that point, but just moving forward a little bit more. People that probably you've already shifted and changed in a lot of ways, and now you're just taking it even further now. A lot of times we can learn a lot of things, we can take in a lot of information, we can have a lot of knowledge intellectually, and understand things and have shifted our perspective in many ways. And then now it's like we're taking it a step further so that we can fully embody these things and to just fully become the healed version of ourselves, the abundant version of ourselves, the happiest version, most joyous, most fulfilled versions of ourselves. And then that's what we're stepping into. The time is now. If you feel like you've been a little bit stagnant for a while, it's time. You're ready. And you don't need any more confirmations. You don't need anyone to tell you that it's okay. It's okay. Go after your dreams. Do what you want now. It's time. You're ready. Just allow yourself to be it. I'm going to leave it there for today. I love you so much. Thank you for watching. Please like this video. Please subscribe. Share your thoughts in the comments. And I will see you in the next video.